This is Ben Weinman from the Dillinger Escape Plan and Giraffe Tongue Orchestra. You're watching Loudwire.
Hey everyone, Graham from Loudwire here, and it's Wikipedia Fact or Fiction time with Ben Weinman. Did you fart?
Wasn't me.
Of the Dillinger Escape Plan and Giraffe Tongue Orchestra.
When William leaves the room, I have to be less serious.
Right, because the Alice in Chains, you gotta can't fart in front of the Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains is dark and heavy, and I want to keep it that way as a fan.
Very good. So, I went through your Wikipedia page, Dillinger's Wikipedia page, a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Gonna recite them to you. You can confirm or deny and elaborate if you choose.
All right.
First of all, it says that you're a straight edge and a vegetarian.
Not true.
Neither.
Well, I don't label myself a straight edge, but I don't partake in substances really.
Gotcha.
But I don't know what I don't drink or do drugs or anything like that.
Okay, so.
But and I'm not a vegetarian. I'm a pescatarian. I eat fish.
Ah, okay, cool. All right, so a little bit of fiction there.
And I've never been vegetarian. So
never.
It's not like,
it says you attended Fairleigh Dickinson University in Madison, New Jersey, where you received a degree in psychology, and then you went on to study corporate communications.
I did. I had a full corporate job before I even did Dillinger. I'm like 100 years old. I graduated. I was in graduate school. I wore a tie. I dealt with
Really?
AT&T and huge companies, and then I'd go to the punk clubs and play Dillinger,
Sure.
and it was crazy. I'd come to work with black eyes, and it was like Fight Club, and it was really weird. And then eventually, I kept trying to get off work so many times to go.
Yeah.
I realized, wait a minute, I'm a real musician. This is my job now. I'm taking off of work more than I'm going to work now. So I just transitioned and got, said no to the stock options and all that stuff, and got in a van and literally been on the road ever since.
I was wondering about psychology. Does that play into your music with Dillinger at all? Because your music, I feel like, affects people in a very specific, weird way.
Yeah, I never really concern myself with how it affects other people. Only that if people keep coming, then I can keep doing it.
That's true.
As long as somebody shows up, then that means I look at it as data. I say, oh, people care. That's really nice. I can do this still.
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to let that judge the quality of my music or whatever, if people like it or not, because obviously we didn't make this music with the intention of marketing to a large amount of people.
Nope.
When we did it, it was like new metal was huge, and everything was very formula, and Limp Bizkit was
Total
massive,
opposite.
and Korn and everything, and we started at the same time. Nothing was predictable. We never played a riff more than once. It was never, our name was long and obnoxious and hard to remember. So I look at it as data, and but as far as how the psychological aspect of it, it's affected me psychologically, and the lifestyle and all these things. And being in a band and dealing with many personalities and making everything work. It's a huge psychological experiment.
A challenge.
It's a massive, crazy ball of interesting psychology.
It was Calculating Infinity that drew the attention of the great Mike Patton, and he personally asked Dillinger Escape Plan to tour with Mr. Bungle. Mm-hmm. That's true.
No.
No, it's not true.
No, he became familiar with Dillinger before Calculating came out.
Ooh,
and actually, he was one of the first people to ever hear Calculating.
Damn.
So I gave him a copy of it because I was so stressed out, and I was like, it sucks, I don't like it.
Really?
Didn't come out good. I was like, I don't want to put it out, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'll be the judge of that. And I remember he was playing it all the time, listening to it, and the rest of the band was furious.
That you would give it to him?
That he was constantly listening to it. They're like,
oh, okay.
This sucks. This hurts our brains.
So they weren't into it either?
No, they weren't into it, but he kept playing it, and they were getting really annoyed, but he's like, I'm the boss, so you're listening to what I want to listen to,
It said Greg Puciato's video audition included 2 versions of 43% Burned in the style of Calculating Infinity and one with his own personal spin on it, and then the band offered him the job after 2 practice sessions.
Close. It was a CD submission. There was no
Not
visual.
a video. Okay.
We had no idea what he looked like at all. But he definitely. We did have a submission thing where it was early in the internet time. You know,
Yes.
MP3s had just kind of started happening, and we asked people to submit a file through the internet. We sent an instrumental of one of our songs. We said, send us the files with your singing on it. And I don't know what we did with them, but some of those submissions were insane. Like, one person rapped over it, one person just sounded like they were getting raped over it, screaming. One person was just full guttural death metal, and he even said in the note, I've never heard of your band. I just like your record label, Relapse. I'd like to be on Relapse Records, so. And he just like started, he was laughing over how, like so good. And then his was, it sounded amazing. So we're like, that's our only choice. It's that or the guy who's getting raped over it. You know? So, yeah, so we called him up and had him down for a practice, and he nailed it. And then we're like, all right, let's go learn some more songs.
This was kind of a weirdly phrased one. It said the long gap between Calculating Infinity and Miss Machine has been accredited to a number of bad fortunes experienced by the band.
Well, we definitely had some curses on us, we feel like, and there's definitely, Murphy's Law was definitely invented for our band.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's necessarily a case of bad fortune. Our bass player, our original bass player, had a car accident and became paralyzed, so that was really difficult. But that happened right before Calculating.
Yes.
And so we had like.
I think you had to play bass on the record.
Yeah,
because
I did.
of that, right?
Which is not ideal, but it worked out, I guess. And then we had like a friend filling in, but our friend, he was a good friend of mine from when I was a kid, but he got shot in the head, and obviously had some brain issue damage.
Oh, but he lived.
Yeah, he's still kicking.
Well,
yeah,
good.
he's great. He's a great guy, but you know, sometimes he would forget parts. But he was amazing because he would do this thing where he'd be playing and he's shredded. And he'd be playing and then he'd just all of a sudden go blank, and he'd always turn to his amp and pretend it was broken until it came back, and then he'd be like, oh, it's fixed, and then go back, and I was like, I know what you're doing. Your amp's not broken, you know? And he's like, ha, ha, ha. You know? But he's great, and then we had Liam, our bass player, now came in, and so there's certainly a lot of member changes and things like that, but I don't think necessarily the space between those records had to do with misfortune, other than like the band wasn't financially very viable unless we were on the road constantly.
Yeah.
So we spent, and it was very difficult to get that kind of music out to as many people as we wanted to get it out to, where we felt it was time to make another record. There was enough people who would care. So we played the globe anywhere we could, any dive, any place we could for 5 years straight until we felt there was enough people to even care about a second record, you know?
It said that in 2005, Dillinger was forced to drop out of Gigantor slightly early due to a rotator cuff injury and fractured vertebrae that you had sustained while performing in California, and you briefly quit the band in order to recover from compounding medical and financial problems.
Yeah, that's for the most part true, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, there's little details of what, you know, basically true, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a surgery on the shoulder, and I opted to not have the neck surgery. Because you know the going wrong on that one is a bad.
Is not good.
No, so it's been a challenge, but yeah, there was definitely, it came to a head. We had never stopped for me to take care of any of this stuff.
Okay.
So by the time we had gotten to that point in the tour, I was unable to even function.
And you never eased up on stage either with your.
No, I didn't know how. So the doctor was like, your arm's falling out of socket. He's like, I've never seen. He's like, how do you move? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, you got one piece of tissue holding your arm in right now.
Oh my God.
He's like, there's no, you have to have surgery. There's no, so that was the first time I only ever took off and didn't play shows for any reason. So, and then after that, there's hospital bills and there's all kinds of stuff, and so yeah, there's all kinds of insurance things and life, adult problems. So,
right.
But whatever. I mean, hey, it's life, right?
Yeah, for sure. One of us is the killer. If this is too personal, feel free to skip it. Mm-hmm. It was inspired partially by unhealthy relationships, some within the band itself.
I mean, I didn't write the lyrics, but I think that, to be honest with you, I think most of the last few records have to do with the tug and pull of me and Greg. And it's a way of expressing it. And it's always really interesting, some of it. I mean, and relationships in general, which sometimes can talk about multiple people in your life and difficulties of relating or dealing with things. or disconnect or whatever, or codependency.
Sure.
And that's something that falls upon couples and any, whether they're work partners, friends,
I think
relationships.
Everyone
has these deals where you tug and pull, and so a creative relationship like Greg and mine is like the ultimate codependency.
Oh,
It's like because we rely on each other to step up so much, and we make our living off of each other's output and our decisions we make. If he does something, it affects me. If I do something, it affects him. So, but we also enjoy the outcome and the process so much, and we're really close. But brothers want to kill each other too.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that's me going and being able to go back into this dungeon and start working again has to do with the frustrations of being on tour, things that are happening internally and externally, and same with him.
Ted, you recently collaborated with Wycliffe Jean, contributing drums to a new song for him, and at present time there's no information as to where or when the song will appear.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you know if it'll ever come out?
I don't know, but it was cool because I was in the studio with him thinking I may play guitar, but he's like, I play guitar. I'm like, okay. So, and then he had been talking about wanting to, there was nobody in there who played drums, and they wanted to have like a Bombs Over Baghdad type of Outcast kind of like drum and bass thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could do that. So I went in there and dropped like a little little ghost note, little rudiment, little paradiddle, boom, boom, boom. And then he took it and put it in song. I have no idea what he did with it.
It's like a Prince thing.
It's cool.
Just put it in the vault.
It was great. It was fun. It was so much more easier. Like they're like one take. They're like great. I'm like, really?
Whoa.
In my world, we do that 5,000 times.
Cool. Do you like the Fugees?
Yeah, I like the Fugees.
I like the Fugees
Yeah.
too. Yeah. That must be cool.
Yeah.
He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, he is very nice. Actually,
Yeah.
he's very, very nice. Lauryn Hill, I've had other experiences with.
I've heard bad things about her.
That's another animal.
Still like the Fugees, though.
Yeah, still like the Fugees.
All right. Thank you so much for playing our game. Very much appreciated.
Cool.
Ben Weinman, everybody.